which would be, where do you stand on the Constitution? Are you competent? And do you share my views? That's my criteria.
But those views are pretty clear. So you would, as far as a judge, you talked about that. An openly gay person is acceptable as a matter of your administration, as a member of your administration.
I have my criteria for what my appointments would be based on, and it's whether you uphold the Constitution, if you're competent,
so
and if you share my views. I am not out asking any other question.
Okay, guys, here's my question to you. Why not just give a yes or no answer? Maria?
Because we know in her heart of hearts that she would never do it. And this is where I think she would get into trouble if she does end up being the GOP nominee. There's no way she'll be able to get through the general election with those kinds of views. We all know very well how she feels about gay and lesbian rights. And when you want to give 10%, more than 10% of Americans less rights than the rest, I think that is not a mainstream view, especially when the majority of Americans now believe that gays and lesbians should have the exact same rights as other Americans when it comes to marriage, when it comes to family, and everything else.
Dana?
Were we listening to the same answer? Because I heard her answer, and yes, what, gay people can't stand for the Constitution, gay people can't be for fiscal responsibility. I'm so tired of the left trying to hijack the gay movement and present them as, oh no, conservatism is patented only to Christian conservatives. That's such just hooey. It's just ridiculous. I thought her answer was quite clear. Yes. What if they stand for the Constitution and they're for fiscal responsibility? What's the big deal?
Guys, stay with me.
She didn't say yes or no.
Stay with me, guys. We got to get to Mitt Romney speaking live. Let's go ahead and listen in. We'll come back.
And very proud of what this company's been able to accomplish. I'm sure people here in New Hampshire are pleased to have a company of this nature right within their own borders. This is a tough time for the country, as you know. We're facing an economic crisis. 25 million people are out of work, or stop looking for work, or in part-time jobs and need full-time employment. The president has set about a bus tour today, going to swing states. And frankly, I think the American people would rather see him in Washington working on getting this economy going again. He seems to be more intent on trying to save his job than to try and create jobs for the American people. I saw this morning that his approval ratings are at an all-time low for him. That is not because he's not campaigning. It's because he's not leading. The American people need a president who will lead this economy back to vitality, creating the jobs that the American people want. I also noted that this president's lost more jobs so far than Jimmy Carter did in his full 4 years, that the number of people unemployed is more than during the Jimmy Carter years. I joked in the past that in some respects we might say the Jimmy Carter years were the good old days. And they certainly weren't for those that endured them, but things are even worse now. And we need a president who understands how the economy works, who has experience in the real economy, and I believe that that's why I've had the kind of support I've had to date in my candidacy. So with that, I'm going to turn to you for the questions you have. Yes.
Comparing his jobs record to yours and said that it didn't need any propping up. Do you think that he could take credit for all the jobs that have been created in Texas over the last 12 years?
You know, I can tell you that I think my jobs record spans not just 4 years as governor, but also the 25 years that I've lived in the private sector. I think understanding how the economy works by having worked in the real economy is finally essential in the White House. And I hope people recognize that understanding day to day what it takes to build a business, to have a business grow and succeed, why businesses fail. I've been on both sides of that. Not everything I've invested in or worked in has been successful, but I've learned how the economy works. And I believe that skill is what the nation is looking for. And I respect the other people in this race, but I think the only other person that has that kind of extensive private sector experience besides me in the Republican race is Herman Cain. And I respect Herman Cain, but I also think it's helpful to have had that government experience that I've had.
How does this change your strategy?
Pardon?
Can he take credit for the jobs in Texas?
I'll let the American people decide at this stage who can take credit for which jobs. I think what people want to see is not credit, but instead a vision for what it takes to get this economy going again.
How does this change your strategy with Kerry and the race and what happened with Bachmann over the weekend in the straw poll?
You know, my strategy is to tell people about my background, what I know how to do, and what my vision is for America. And I'm going to be doing that in states across the country, in Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, Nevada, Michigan, Florida. I'm planning on going to all the early states and probably a lot of the later states as well, and expressing what I believe. And if people line up behind that and think I'm the right guy to lead the country, terrific. If not,
all right,
so be
political buzz panel. I know you stayed with me because we had to break out of our segment to go to Mitt Romney there. So let's roll with this, okay? You just heard Mitt Romney there in Litchfield, New Hampshire. The first question thrown out to him, guys, was about Rick Perry entering the race. So what do you think? I mean, it was the first question thrown out there. You heard his response. Is he nervous? Should he be nervous about Rick Perry jumping in? Maria?
Yeah, absolutely he should be nervous, Kira, because clearly Rick Perry just jumped into the race, and he's already in a lot of the polls. Number 2, I think, at 15%, with Romney at 17%. Romney absolutely should be nervous, but he should also be nervous about his own record. It's so laughable that he talks about job creation when he was governor of Massachusetts, 47th. Massachusetts ranked 47th in the state, or in the country in terms of job creation. Laughable.
Dana?
I'm a little scared right now because I'm agreeing with Maria on this. Romney's done, as far as I'm concerned. Perry is more conservative than Romney. Romney, the big small business guy who, with his health care mandate, was taxing businesses over $200 and something per employee if they had more than 11 employees. That's not good for business, and he has a lot to answer to with his record. He just doesn't cut it.
John?
Look, Mitt Romney sidestepped the direct criticism, but you heard something that's going to be a major theme of the campaign, which is that he's saying Rick Perry's essentially a career politician. And he's going to be trying to say, look, I've got business experience and private sector experience. But of course he should be concerned. Rick Perry's entry in this race immediately makes this at least a 2- or 3-person race. I think it's going to very quickly winnow down to Mitt Romney, Rick Perry, and Michele Bachmann. Those will be the top tier.
Guys, thank you so much, and thanks for rolling with me. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Kira.
All right, well, we're talking about these names jumping into a race. How about the name Keegan Bradley? Oh, yeah. He's jumped into the game of golf, and if you haven't heard of him, well, you're going to hear about him now. He's joining us live, and believe me, you'll be wanting to follow his career after the win he had this weekend.
John King, USA. CNN tonight, 7 Eastern.
College. Who needs college? Yeah, that's the last thing mom and dad want to hear right now. But listen to this. Some of the nation's top CEOs have never finished college, and they're doing just fine. But Allison Cossack, even though you've got the names, the odds are very slim that we should count on this as we're raising our kids.
You have to remember that. Yeah, I mean, this is where I get to name drop because these are household names. I'm talking about Michael Dell, Steve Jobs, Bill Gates. None of these guys finished college, but all of them helped run and create these multi-billion-dollar corporations. Did you know that Ralph Lauren, he never went to college, and Virgin founder Richard Branson didn't even graduate high school? But before you go ahead and just chuck that college education based on what their pasts have done, these people are huge exceptions to the rule. You have to remember that for the rest of us, graduating college typically means bigger salaries and more job security. Right now, the unemployment rate for people with bachelor's degrees or better is just 5%. That's half the rate for people without college degrees. But for those who didn't even graduate high school, the unemployment rate is 13%. So there you go. I've kind of brought you back to reality. How do you like those pictures, Kira? Nice, huh?
Yeah, not bad. You know what else is nice? That little bit of a rally that we saw when the markets opened. I haven't seen the numbers since we last talked. How are they looking now? Has it calmed down since last week?
It has calmed down. We're still in the green. Let's see if we can make it 3 in a row because we did close higher on Thursday and Friday. You know, investors are grabbing up these beaten down stocks, Kira. There's also word that Google is using some of its mountain of cash to buy Motorola Mobility. That's helping to inspire some buying for the broader market. So that is also why we're seeing stocks in the green today. Kira, back to you.
Okay. Allison, thanks so much. All right, I'm getting up from my post for this one because as I'm teasing this to break, I'm running back there. Yes, I am a big golfer. I think Keegan Bradley is amazing, but I know that this is going to disappear real quickly, so I'm just going to be able to say I touched it. We're going to talk to Keegan coming up in just a few minutes.
It's a fact. Your nutrition